Welcome to Inside the Deal. I'm Ken Klee, editor of The Deal's Corporate Dealmaker, and I'm here with Ken Horner of Deloitte Consulting. And our topic is deal evolution. We're looking at the state of the current M&A market and how strategics, who, as we know, have really come to the fore in the last 2 years, are faring in the current circumstances. So, Ken, why don't we start there? Tell us about the strategics, what they're up to, the trends you're seeing.
Well, it's certainly in terms of the last 12 months, a big change from 24 and 36 months ago. The credit market has caused the rules of the road to be repealed, and new rules are in place. And it's taken some time for people to get used to those, and I think it's still evolving. We haven't yet seen the end of this beginning, if you will, but I think it is a beginning of a new era in deals. We're seeing innovations, we're seeing changes, we're seeing people thinking about things differently. So that certainly the market upheaval that we've had in the last 12 months has changed the deal, the rate of deals being done, the numbers of deals, who's doing them. The PEI firms have, in fact, as you pointed out, pulled back. The strategics have a window here where they are the big dogs in the market, and we see people proceeding with all sorts of deals, large and small.
Now, the credit crunch is obviously constraining the private equity firms. Is it affecting the strategics, and if so, how?
Well, yes, it is. I mean, it's like the classic old banker phenomenon of the banks will loan you money when you don't need it, and if you really do need it, they're not going to loan you any money. We've seen some deals recently that use debt as part of the transaction, which obviously, for example, the M&M Mars deal, where both Warren Buffett and J.P. Morgan Chase stepped in to provide money. It isn't clear whether Forrest Mars and the gang doing that deal really needed the money or not, but let's assume they did. Certainly they had funds available to them, and it was a very large deal. And the Hewlett-Packard EDS deal has some debt associated with it. There are deals being done with financial resources, so leverage. So it isn't totally unknown, but the quality of those deals, we think, has to be a lot higher in this market.
So Mars was able to get some help from Warren Buffett. I believe Dow Chemical also was when they went after Roman Haas successfully. Are there any other sort of unexpected or non-traditional sources of funding that the strategics are able to tap into?
Well, one of the things that we've seen happen is the offshore money is changing its distribution channels. If you look over the last many years, certainly people with money to invest in the United States have done so. But the channels that they've moved the money through, the banks and the investment banks that were there, in a sense, front men in making deals happen and bringing deals to them, that has been put into disarray in the last 12 months. Certainly some firms that used to be heavily involved are no longer as heavily involved. But the money's still there, and the money needs to move and be put to work, and we're seeing the offshore folks taking a much more direct involvement role, where they will not just invest through somebody, but they will step in and take a part of a deal as an owner. We saw this first begin, at least in my knowledge, 5 or 6 years ago with some investments in Canada, where the Canadian pension funds decided to become investors alongside other people for Canadian properties. I'm sure it happened in other places as well, but here we see things changing because the distribution channels for the funds heretofore have changed themselves. So the money has to go somewhere.
And by funds, you're talking about sovereign wealth funds?
Sovereign wealth funds, foreign banks, people with money, large-scale foreign private investors even, that might have put their money in a hedge fund or something and then let it do some investment for them, are making more direct pursuit of U.S. investments.
Well, thank you very much, Ken. It's been a great session, and we look forward to having you back.
Thank you, Ken.
For Inside the Deal, I'm Ken Klee.